If it's happening in Burbank, you ought to know, so tune into the Mike and Roy Show.
And now,
Mike and Roy.
Hello, Burbankers! Welcome back to what has now become a trifecta in measure coverage here in Burbank. We have a big election coming up Tuesday, June 5th. We urge you to vote, and we really urge you to vote no on all three of these measures. Mike's going to get into some really juicy stuff. This has become the third installment. We thought two was going to do it. 2 videos weren't enough. There's more information coming out now. We are here to tell you about it because you are not going to get this from the city. They have an agenda. They want you to vote yes. They have they have a PR firm working overtime on this. I want to tell you, as hard as that PR firm is working, Mike here, my partner, burned the Mike and Roy Midnight Oil, and he did a lot of digging. He struck gold doing some digging. And Mike, share with us what you found.
Well, this is why it's so important that we vote no on a measure T for tax, because that's what it's going to be if it passes, a tax.
Yep.
Measure V.
Yep.
And measure Y. We have to vote no. The city is, like Roy said, has hired a PR firm to do outreach.
With our tax dollars.
With our tax dollars, and they're not doing outreach. They're actually pushing for these measures to pass.
They're educating the voters.
Right. And that's what this PR firm, the one they chose, that's what they're really known for, is getting measures passed. So we did some digging. On social media, a lot of people are saying, if Measure T doesn't pass, where are we going to come up with that $12.5 million that has been going from our BWP into the general fund? Remember, we were doing that illegally.
Yes.
And the city was sued and we lost. And we were told you can't do that. Let's remember that.
Yeah.
So where are we going to make up that $12.5 million? What services are we going to cut? We're going to have to cut services. So I looked up the general fund for the city of Burbank and the percentage of the fund. Now, here's the general fund, a neat pie chart that I found on the city's website. Let's look at services that maybe we'll have to cut. Here are the services, this little piece of pie, 13.1%. But look at this big, giant, delicious piece of pie here. That's salaries and benefits. 83.3% of our general fund is salaries and benefits. So that $12.5 million that goes into here, most of that is going to pay for salaries and benefits. And then we started looking into the salaries and benefits
and how much they're getting.
City staff and employees.
This is very enlightening.
You want to take it away? Our highest paid staff member, and we're not going to mention names. This isn't a personal thing. It's not about the people in these positions.
Yeah.
It's about the money that the city of Burbank is paying for these positions, overpaying.
This is, again, why you want to vote no on these measures. Measure T, exactly about this. Our city manager in Burbank, with a population of 105 and change, with benefits and everything, comes out in 2017.
No, this is 2015.
Excuse me,
Yep.
2015, $413,000. Okay, let's look at Escondido. There's 150,000 people there. A few more than we have here. Their city manager, with everything, when it was all said and done, $140,000. It goes on from there, Mike. These are great examples. Berkeley, the Bay Area, 120,000 folks, or right around there. With benefits, wages, everything, $265,000. Again, compared to Burbank, with a much smaller population, our city manager, $413,000.
Yeah.
This is what needs to be trimmed.
Yeah.
The big part of this pie.
And
okay.
I have a list of salaries of city staff. And if we just asked those staff members who are making $200,000 and more to take a modest pay cut, we could really make up that difference. Now, say we asked them to take a 10% pay cut. That'd be about $4.5 million to the city. And for someone who's making over $400,000 a year, to take a pay cut and only make $360,000 a year, I don't know, I don't make that kind of money, but I would think you could get by. Twice in my lifetime, I've been asked to take a pay cut, And I did it because the companies that I worked for at the time needed to do that in order to survive. Maybe our city needs to do that in order to survive, because some of these salaries are, I think, way over what they should be. And I'm looking at assistant general manager, $291, almost $300,000. And
A lot of this is overtime, Mike. A lot of the folks on here is overtime, and is that leading back, again, we're understaffed with police and fire. Might it be more prudent to have correct staffing levels? Ultimately, would we be saving money instead of exorbitant overtime?
Yeah, I added up over $6 million in overtime to our fire department, and of course we don't want to cut our fire department. We need those firefighters out there. But maybe there's a way that we can manage the fire department in such a way that we're not paying $6 million in overtime. Police department, over $2 million in overtime. Way over $2 million in overtime. And maybe there's a way to manage that. So, so we're not spending more money than we need to. And then we don't have to cut this tiny little piece of the pie services. And we don't have to worry so much about our budget and this crisis that we're in.
Mike, you mentioned the court case that here we are with Measure T. Now, we all got this beautiful supplemental voter information guide booklet in the mail, and it's very impressive. And then you get to the impartial analysis. Well, it's written by our city attorney, Miss Albano. Miss Albano represented the city of Burbank in the court case that we lost as a city. She is writing the impartial analysis. Is that a little... It's curious. It's a little bit curious.
Is it possible to be impartial when you've been so close to this case, and even our Attorney General recused himself? This may have been a time that maybe our city attorney could have recused herself and said, maybe someone else can be a little more impartial.
Mike, we've got to quickly dance for a second with one of the other measures regarding the city council. And if you're not up to speed on that, this would tack on 20 months to the current council members' terms. Now, there's a number of folks in town, again, nothing personal against the council members, but as a group, they are voting for the most part lockstep on everything, and their vision of the city seems to mirror staff's vision of the city, which is not the same vision that many residents have. And those residents are not being heard. Now we want to reward that behavior, if you will, with another 20 months. I don't think that makes any sense at all. And also, we're going to get aligned eventually with the state election system.
There's no rush.
Absolutely not.
They're making it sound, the city and the PR firm that is doing outreach
and education.
They're making it sound like it's so urgent. If we don't do it now, we're in big trouble. I was at a community information meeting today, and somebody brought up, an idea that struck me, that our city council are like hobbyists. That they're all retired, and it's almost like they're doing it as a little hobby, because our city staff works full-time. Our city staff prepares a staff report and staff recommendations and goes to the city council and says, this is what we want, this is what we want you to do, and they do it. Because of that, there is no confidence in the community, in a big part of the community. I can't speak for the entire community. I can speak for a very large percentage of the community who I communicate with regularly, and say there is absolutely no confidence in this city council to do what's really right for Burbank and right for the residents.
And lastly, on the school board, right? Board of Education, excuse me. Tacking on 20 months to their terms. Now, they're doing a good job for the most part. I think most people feel they are. But to recap that, again, we didn't vote for them with that in mind, another 20 months. And again, that will get aligned, like the city elections, city council elections, and everybody else, with the state eventually. There's no rush. And also, we don't know what it's going to cost the school district to hold their own election.
They will have to run their own elections, pay for their own elections. That's what I'm told, if Measure Y passes.
Yeah.
So, please look at these measures, Measure T, Measure V, Measure Y, and, learn about what we're getting ourselves into. Don't listen to the city, just the city. Please don't just listen to this PR firm that's out there doing outreach.
And education.
Yeah.
Again, on your dime.
Yeah.
That's our tax dollar. That should give you the creeps. I'll leave you with this. I think a lot of times bad things happen in threes. These three need to go down in defeat. We need to send a message. We're not drinking the Kool-Aid on this, folks. So
Yeah, please educate yourselves, and then you know how we're voting.
yeah.
Measure T, Measure Y, Measure V. If they're not good for you, they're not good for me. We'll see you next time
On the Mike and Roy Show.
Mike and Roy.